We're live.
We'll talk later.
Exactly. Yes, good evening. The Design Review Board No.1 public meeting of June 25th, 2009 is called to order. Please refrain from talking amongst yourselves during the meeting, and please turn off or put on vibrate all cell phones and pagers. If you need to talk, please leave the meeting room. Anyone who wishes to speak, including applicants, is asked to completely fill out one of the speaker cards provided at the table by the front door and submit it to staff. You will be called to present a case or speak on a specific item as desired. Anyone who wishes to be re-noticed about a project must completely fill out one of the postcards provided at the table by the front door and submit it to staff to receive notice of subsequent meetings. Current Design Review Board agendas are available by calling our Design Review Board hotline at 818-548-3171 or by visiting our website at www.ci.glendale.ca.us. A handout describing the procedures of the meeting, possible board decisions, and Design Review Board reconsideration and appeals is available at the table by the front door. Please note that appeals must be filed within 15 calendar days of the DRB decision date. The chairperson may reorder agenda items at his discretion. In terms of a roll call, Board Member Aliano is not present. Board Member Ellis?
Present.
Board Member Insua is not present. Board Member Simonian?
Present.
Chairman Yu?
Here.
Report regarding posting of the agenda. The agenda for this meeting was posted on the bulletin board outside City Hall at or before 5 p.m. on June 18th, 2009. Oral communications. I have no speaker cards for oral communications.
Neither do I. No.
Neither does the chairman. All right. In terms of staff announcements, the first item on tonight's agenda, which is case number 1-PDR 2009-022-A, this is for 777 Patterson Avenue, has been continued to a date certain, which is July the 23rd, without notice of subsequent, or without further notice. This is due to posting errors. So,
You're right.
yes,
It just
unfortunately,
dawned on me when I
it
looked at it.
wasn't properly posted within the 10-day period. So they have to continue the matter. And if you don't mind, yes, making
I'll
a
move
motion.
continuing PDR 2009-022A to 72309.
I'll second it.
And I have a second by Board Member Simonian. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, motion passes 3-0. And that brings us to the next and last item on tonight's agenda. Would you like to make the introductions, Chairman Yu?
Sure. Welcome to Design Review Board 1. And we have one person out there, so thank you for waiting. So we'll continue on to our one and only item for today, 1 PDR 2009-015-A, 1520, Rema Vista Drive. And are you ready?
Yes, I am. Thank you,
Let's
Mr. Chair. Good evening. As you mentioned, the case number for the only project of the night is 1 PDR 2009-015A, located at 1520 Rema Vista. The proposal is to add 820 square feet of living space to the existing 2,670 square feet of house. The current house is one story. The proposal is a one-story addition as well. The proposal also includes the addition of the architectural element for the entry, an architectural feature located at the center as an entry feature. The proposal also includes 11 feet wide, 90 foot long deck that is detached from the house, and it is not to exceed 11 feet in height over the existing retaining walls that will be facing Melwood Drive. This lot does have a double frontage. The address is off of Rema Vista, but it also has a frontage at Melwood Drive. The house was built in 1941. It's been checked or double-checked with the historic preservation planner, and it's been determined that it is not of historic resource or any potential historic resource. It's located in the R1, R2 single-family residential zone. It is exempt from CEQA. The proposal, like I said, has two components to it, the square footage addition and also the deck. After working with the applicant and doing analysis of the project, staff does recommend return for redesign to give the applicant a chance to redesign the deck because staff believes that it is too massive and the physical location of it will just make it more apparent, more visible, and a lot more massive than it will actually be. And it will be overshadowing the rest of the properties around it facing Melwood. So with that, I will go over the recommended conditions set forth by staff. The first one is to reduce the size of the deck by at least 50% and/or break it into segments to step it down to correspond with the existing hillside topography. Second recommended condition is to revise material choice for the deck by exploring the options of using split face blocks, block, stone, or other materials rather just stucco to make it blend in with the existing rocky hillside. Third recommended condition is to design a rail for the deck that is more appropriate for the style of the house while using probably green colored because the existing window trims are green on the house, and that would be a visual tie between the two structures. And lastly, the last comment or condition was already addressed by the applicant. I was told today to use two-piece barrel tile instead of S-type, and applicant has indicated before the meeting that they are willing. They have actually put it on their sample or material board that they will be using the two-piece tile. So that concludes my brief presentation. If you have questions, I'm here. The applicant is also in the audience.
Thank you. Do we have any questions for staff?
I have a few questions.
Sure.
Okay. The deck location is a little vague to me, and I'm trying to understand the drawings, and I'm wondering if staff could help me out with it. Of course.
Yeah, I mean, this is my problem too. Yeah, I mean,
That way?
So we have this picture here, and we have
I
these
didn't see that.
retaining walls.
Yes.
And I assume these retaining walls are these retaining walls. So we
Exactly.
have 1, 2, 3, and we have 1, 2, 3.
Yes.
And so this wall where the arrow points to is this retaining wall.
It would be this one,
Okay.
the middle one. So you could say it's mainly sitting on the middle wall,
Okay.
and parts of it would be on the back wall.
And is this what they're proposing, a new this wall that's dashed is actually this wall that's depicted in the elevation?
No, that would be the enclosure at the bottom of the deck. It would be pure stucco, and that's why we have it done this way. Applicant wanted to do it this way to show you. These are the walls in the back. This would be covering the bottom of the deck because the code requires so.
Understood. And so this wall,
Will not be retaining anything.
and where is that in the plan?
That would be here underneath this line, covering the.
I see, so the deck is coming all the way out to here.
The deck starts here and ends here. It's completely detached from the house.
And the shaded area is the deck?
Is the deck?
It's the hatched
completely
area.
freestanding.
I see.
And I could
Because
get
this is
confused.
somewhat flat, and by extending it, they're extending the yard, and this is the extent of it.
Exactly.
And so they're going to have their piles, and then they have some posts coming up. And this is
Eventually close it
some
with
sort of a
stucco, and
skirt that-
that was one of our recommended conditions, to use a different material rather than stucco.
And so, then when we look at this, this is the existing retaining wall. It's a 4-foot-high retaining wall. That's this over here?
That would be that. Yeah, that would be this wall here.
I see. And so then this wall, this new deck would basically start from here and would go up
Yes,
to where
the base of the deck. Yes, would start from there.
it was really hard to locate it when I
Yeah,
was back
right,
there. It was
exactly.
impossible to.
and I was hoping to see that view or perspective from the backside, which.
Because you can't really walk the side; it's too steep. So
This is the picture right now.
And besides the entrance and this area,
there's also another piece added back here, almost a bay window, but a more circular shape, which would be right here. Which staff that was creative, matching it with the circular shape of the entry roof.
yeah, and I noticed the existing windows are some sort of a clad window, and it's probably wood clad, and it's got that green color.
Applicant
to it.
indicated that the existing windows could be a mix of different kinds, including metal windows.
Because the pictures,
I'm getting
it
lot
looked like
from
a
the applicant.
green clad window when I was up there today.
Some are metal windows, depending which part of the elevation.
Metal as in metal clad or metal as in old
Steel,
70s?
steel
slide
metal. Yeah, steel windows.
That, I didn't see any metal window over here. Might be on the other side.
The existing is fiberglass? There is no metal at all?
No metal.
Oh,
I went before, sorry, I forgot to tell you.
oh, must have had a miscommunication then.
So, so that when I'm looking at this is painted fiberglass?
Okay, because,
Okay.
okay.
And there's no, this is existing, this chimney is existing?
Yes.
This actually deck continues off the plan here? Is that what,
It
is that what that is showing there?
Yes.
Right, okay.
All right.
And someplace that way. Okay. Yeah, that was hard for me to figure out when looking at the plan.
Actually, looking at the plan, I don't think it does. It is just past the footprint of the house, and
It depends where you're looking at this, I guess.
it ends right there.
So what's the structure
Is
that I'm
this a
seeing
straight west elevation as in like parallel to this, looking at it, or perpendicular to this face?
Yes.
I'm getting a nod from the architect.
Okay, so then that would be that line here, which means that it does
there?
continue.
Yeah, it does continue back.
Continue out to here.
I'll have the
Right.
Yeah.
You want them to address that.
Okay.
Do we have any more questions?
Not for staff.
Not first. All right, are you okay?
Yeah, actually, I got one just note. I noticed on when I went out and looked, the end of the wall down here, it says it's 3 to 5 foot, plus or minus. I mean, it looked more like 8 foot by the time you got to that corner.
They each could be 3 to 5 foot.
Is that,
No, I'm saying maybe that's what he's indicating.
it's, I'm sorry?
Maybe each one of them is 3 to 5.
Well, no, there's two marked, and one's marked 4 foot, which looked about a 4 foot wall, and the other one's marked 3 to 5, and at that end, it's got to be 6 to 8.
Yeah, because
Even
you
at the
can,
start of it is already pretty high.
Yeah,
By the
right.
time it gets to here, it's...
Yeah, right, because of the
the,
slope
the
down.
toe of it is already 4 feet above ground.
Right.
Okay.
I have one card for this project. Mr. Bedros Darjian. If you could state your name and address for the record, please.
Good evening, Bedros Darchian, 527 Tank Canyon Road, Duarte, California, 91010. We started this project about a year ago. I had many meetings with Mr. Geborg. He was a lot of help. Thank you very much. I didn't have direct meetings, I believe, with Ms. Stephanie, but he was in contact with her at the same time with Mr. I always forget his name.
Plant.
Yes. So the issue was about the house. We did some modification. We did some changes to make it more Hispanic, to fit within the addition, to fit within the existing house. And I believe he addressed all the comments on it, and I don't have anything else to add on what he said, except the window, as stated, they're existing, they're fiberglass. We're proposing aluminum-clad windows. And all the existing, they will be removed and replaced. As of the deck, the reason you have that small window is there for the deck. Again, we had many discussions. Originally, it was like 120 plus feet because the owner started the deck design before the house addition. So the house came after the deck. And having the deck, it's very important part of his expansion or extension of the house. I asked him before the hearing, can we have the house approved without the deck if they make it an issue? He said, I doubted that. I'll go ahead with it because, again, guys, and you've been there probably, it's like $1.5 million, $2 million home. When you pay the money for it, you want to enjoy it as much as you can. So his backyard is small. We're not expanding a lot. We're just expanding about 11 feet. Because of the character of the site, I did the section, if it wasn't clear, sorry, this is the way it is, that the posts, they will be between the second and the third retaining walls. The reason is that window is there. Originally, we said we'll leave it natural. We'll have just piles, posts, and we'll have the deck on top of it. And the house on the left has similar deck. Probably is longer, But the thing is, it's broken down because it wraps around the house. It's not straight like this. This probably look more massive because it's on, one line, it's going straight. Then they came with the idea that probably enclosing it will be better. So we proposed that, to enclose it with the stucco material. It will be earth tone color to fit within, its setting. If you look at those pictures that Mr. Simonian has in his hand, I really don't think you're going to see too much of the deck. One, it's too high from the street. You can't even, see it if you stand there. You look at the retaining wall, there's a small window between. You can see the walls only. You can't park on the street to take a look at it. So, and you see all those trees and the shrubs, we can add more to screen it more. So within a year or so, you won't even see that there is a new deck wall there. As of the railing, I can work with staff on, redesigning the railing and have more Spanish-style railing on it. There are many decks in the area. There is some concrete, there is some on pilaster, some wood. That's the way the nature of the area is, and I hope you disagree with staff and you approve the project.
Do we have any questions for the applicant?
I have some questions.
Sure.
I'm looking at the pictures, and of course, I wasn't able to walk at the rear of the property. I was only able to see the street facade, and at the street facade, I noticed the green windows, and thank you for pointing out that they're fiberglass windows. And when I'm looking at the picture at the rear, it seems as though the windows are different at the rear, and I'm wondering if you could help me out. Are these fiberglass as well? It looks like it might have been an addition.
No, those are new and those they're not. Those are wood. Those are wood.
These are wood?
Yes.
So was this an addition?
No, it wasn't. Probably they had replaced them because the owner bought it, I believe, 3 years ago.
I see.
When he bought it, they were there.
Okay. And so there's portions of the backyard that have wood, and then in the front, everything along the street is original fiberglass. And you're proposing adding to the front in this area.
Correct.
And this part is visible from the street. When you're here, you could see this, especially at the stop sign. I'm wondering, is there a reason why you chose not to put any windows on this side and just kind of went with the blank wall here? Is that any reason for it?
Not really. We never thought about that. Never crossed my mind that the window.
And this window here off of the game room, is that this over here, or is this the French doors?
Sorry, I have to come there.
Oh, yeah, please do come up.
Thank you.
Actually, isn't it the lower one? Are you looking at?
I'm not sure. So, where is this in your elevations?
This in the elevations, we don't have actually.
They're just little windows.
But this is that.
And the two little windows.
And then this is looking at.
Then this elevation is the back actually. This is looking
at this.
This is looking at this direction. Yes.
So this master bedroom
is the doors.
is this,
Yes.
and then this is existing.
Yes, that's the wall.
So then you're missing a window up here because that's.
That goes behind it. Probably you don't see it in the elevation because I think it goes behind that.
Well,
Goes
you
in
can
the
still
back.
probably see it, but that's fine. And then
Yeah.
then you have this, and that's.
That elevation is here, which is again this room. We have a closet and we have a bathroom.
And then where's this window?
This window. I want to say this, but I don't think so.
What are we looking at here?
Well, that's why I'm a little confused. I'm trying to
No, you're right,
orient
'cause-
myself.
Because the two doors are there and it's there, but then the building ends after the two doors, but this one continues over.
About this one?
Yeah,
But this.
that elevation is confusing me. Right, so it ends right there, right after the door.
I mean, basically, this is what you see out of it.
And it ends at that corner.
Oh, so you're
Yeah.
saying you took it straight on
Yes, I mean, projected
instead
it
of
out.
that way?
And then this over here,
This is the two windows, this window. Yeah, probably this window, I see what, probably was supposed to be here.
and so this is the elevation that we would see from the street.
Yes, so this is, I mean, I can add, like, we have this window, we can add window, because this is the bathroom, I can
Well,
rearrange
you
it.
could, flip the
Yes.
closet and
Yes.
bathroom on the other side by the door, and that way you could have some windows. It would be nicer room anyways, because you would have windows.
The other thing is, it's like about 8, 10 feet higher than the street, the only people, I mean, from cross street, yeah, I agree with you, you see it. When
From the
you're
stop
driving.
sign, you see it.
No, I think it's more for quality of space.
Yeah, the bedroom would be nice to have windows. Okay, and then, what sort of windows are you, are these sliding windows?
There are, yes, sliding window. I mean, this is fixed, sliding.
Because the existing has casements, or seems to have casements that's here. They're casement
Actually, you know,
windows.
that's the thing, if we change it, I mean, I just went to the owner's house today, all the handles are out, he said, no way I want casement anymore. You know, I mean, you don't see one
They're
window.
hard to open and close,
Yeah,
yeah.
it's all, so we're just like, you know, all of them will be.
They have the European ones, you know.
I seen the very expensive
Yeah.
one, I got them some price on windows from Pella, the aluminum clad.
Oh, which don't have the crank,
like-
they just open.
They just open,
Yeah.
the European one.
I don't think they have the space for egress on those
Which one?
types.
It's 24, it will open, it will.
Sure you have 24?
I think it's 8, 24, 24, and then this is like, you know, 4, 2, 2, and 4.
So, okay, so as far as the, and again, there's no one in the audience, so this is more personal, it's kind of one-on-one,
Oh,
we're going
thank
back
you.
and forth, and we're addressing some of the questions. The deck area,
Yes.
so you're basically proposing the deck here, and then the piles for it are going to be between this
Yes.
and this,
Yes.
and that's where the piles are going to be.
I'll just see if I can mark on it, so just to clear it, you know.
One of my concerns with that is that it's going to kill all the planting underneath it. There's nothing that's going to come up.
No, we can, I mean,
Because you don't
see,
have any space for planting it.
Yeah, it's pretty vertical.
I mean,
it's already, you know, it's already, I mean, it's not really, it's not going, you're not going to see anything beyond this line. The only opening is here, and just adding some, excuse me, some plantation here, you know, it will completely screen it.
that might not be there next year. So
Which, oh, no, those, I mean, it's going to look at probably they're 50 years old. I mean, we can add more, again, you know, we could, I mean, I can set, you know, the caissons, I mean, the piles and the posts another 2 feet inside, cantilever it a little bit more. I mean, we can,
Yeah, but that totally changes to proposal.
No, I would basically-
More information on the deck, because you're missing a section, you're missing some material samples and the railing design. So, you know, those are some of the things that are required for us to really understand the location and the look.
I had a section, you
Your
remember, I
topography.
gave sections of the deck one time. You guys requested those, maybe they're in the file.
Is it a north set? Top of wall call-out. It's just floating everywhere.
That's what, you know, we got from, I mean,
Get the money back.
I wish.
No,
Actually,
but
the guy is not, I mean, the guy who did the
No, but
survey.
you know what I mean? How can you have top of wall call-outs in the middle of nothing?
Yeah.
But that's, I was looking at the arrows just go to someplace on the little ones.
We couldn't find, I mean, if you guys, you're gonna, I have to hire somebody else.
Or can- I don't know, but that doesn't tell me
We
anything.
couldn't find them. I mean, I looked for them.
Oh, you took the money and ran?
Are you changing the color of the building?
No, sir. I mean, that's, I went there, there are too many different shadings. Where the light is, I mean, I went around the house, I had Don Edwards. The closest I came, you know, was this point, you know, to the house. So in the shaded area. Because if you look in the sunny area, it's a lot brighter.
It's all bright.
It's a lot more orangey.
Yeah, that looks more orangey than I.
Brighter than the existing.
It's a pretty orange house, though.
The existing is nice.
Yeah, I've always noticed that it stands out when you come around the corner. It's not hiding.
Okay. Well, I don't have any more questions.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Oh, she just put it up. Yeah, Billy just put that up. Now we have two. Okay, so we'll close the public session and we'll discuss. Would you like to get us started?
Sure, well, get going on it. There's really not that much going on with the design when you initially look at it on paper. It just seems like a small addition, and then also the deck in the rear. And but once I visited the site and really started walking around the property, I started to understand how complex this building is. It's not just square, it's not a rectangle. It has many facets, and it's visible from many angles, both from the street, from the stop sign across from it, and then also from the area behind it, from the street behind it. And so what I mean is, if the deck will be visible from Melwood, and then as you're on Ramal Vista Drive, and it's also visible as well at a second location, and then also if you're coming up the stop sign on Emerald Isle, you see it as well. The existing color of the building is quite nice. It's a nice shade. The existing fiberglass windows that are inset within the existing building are quite nice, and that color combination of that green with, let's say, that pale orange works quite nicely. And so if you're matching the fiberglass windows to that seems to be a good fit. I've already discussed while you were up here how I think that this layout could improve upon. As you're standing on the stop sign looking across, you do see this side of this addition, and it's just a blank wall. Whereas if you flip the closets in the bathroom on this side, you could provide some windows, and it'd be a nice use of the bedroom to have some windows. At the same time, it wouldn't just be a blank wall, when you're across the street. So that is something that it could easily be accomplished. The entrance that has been designed seems to work. There's really no issues there. Now, I think the biggest concerns I have is what's happening in the rear. And it's really a lack of information that's not allowing me to understand and comprehend exactly what is being proposed. I drove this area, and it was very difficult to locate the house because as you're driving down the street, you can't see it. It's so steep. This is really the only angle as you're driving up, is it Melwood?
Yes.
That you see it. So this is the only angle that we have to worry about. And so staff has done some recommendations as far as breaking up the massing of the deck, but in my opinion, it just needs to be studied as far as what the material is, what the railing is, the location of the piles, and we should really have some sort of a survey that shows the contour lines so we could really understand, how high of a wall we're talking about. Without the contour lines, it's very hard to tell, what size and what the massing is. And so I'm not as concerned about the massing of it because I think that could be broken up easily and that could be designed around. And the concept of a deck back there, I don't have any issues with, and nor do I think it creates a challenge. And I do agree with some of the comments made by staff. We need more information to understand, how exactly all that is going to work. And I think it really starts with a proper survey and so forth. As I pointed out in the picture, there seems to be some windows that are different in the rear, and so I think that's something that we would need some direction on from you. Is if all the addition is going to have the fiberglass windows, everything. You mentioned fiberglass, and then you mentioned an aluminum-clad window. You mean a wood window with aluminum?
We'll give you a chance to come up afterwards.
I'm sorry, I did ask a question.
You're still
so
having
I
that personal
apologize.
conversation.
Sorry, it's not towards you.
And so if we're going with fiberglass, it would be nice to pick it, have a sample of it or a cutout of it, and that way we could continue around it. And so my thoughts are that as far as the massing of the addition is concerned along the street, I think it works.
You mean the deck?
No,
No, the addition.
The addition.
Addition, okay.
Addition. I think it works. I think it just needs to be modified with some windows and so forth. And as I stated, the deck in the rear, we just need proper sections, contoured survey, some sort of a material board for it, whether it's split-face block or whatnot, and a sample of the railing design for us to really understand what sort of railing it is, where it's broken up, and what sort of steps are occurring, and so forth. And then I think we could start to visualize what it'll look like from the street. Again, this is only going to be seen from a very narrow vantage point. It's when you're driving up Melwood, and it's just going to be on your left. And it's not going to be present all that often. And so I think, if we start getting some of the information, we could certainly come up with something that would work. Those are my thoughts.
Okay, thank you.
I tend to agree with you, Mr. Simonian. As far as the house, I don't have really any problems. It is an information issue, and I mean, just the things I pointed out on the heights of the wall, there are a number of things just not quite in the plans that we usually see. An example, I realized when I looked at the pictures of the house, there are a lot of skylights around on the roof plan, but I don't see any of those marked on the plans. It's at details. A 90-foot-long deck is a pretty long deck, and I understand what you say about on Melwood being for the driving through, you're only going to see it, and I agree with that. The neighbors aren't here. The two houses below it, it's going to be hanging over their house, and because it's the applicant mentioned the neighbors. They're actually back a little bit, though, from the street line, where this house is right, it's a cliff down to the street. So it is kind of going to be front and center to those houses. Now, the neighbors tend to be focused, again, in the same direction. The front of the houses are pretty bland if you look at the pictures. But I think a return with more information is certainly in order.
Thank you. I also agree that the front addition is sort of in keeping with the existing house. I think there's a lot of different things you could have done with it just because there's so many angles to that house and how you face it against the street. But I think Mr. Simonia's suggestions of actually putting more windows into that bedroom space makes a lot of sense. I think it's going to improve the quality of that room. And I guess the only concern or the only thing that we really have sort of difficulty with is the patio in the back or the deck. I think you said that it was going to be a wood deck with, and now you're updating it to actually having a wall come down on the underside and then covered in stucco. Is that? I'm assuming it'll be a wood frame. Is that?
The wall would be a code requirement. How they decide
code
to
requirement?
to have the
I guess.
have a wall under the.
What is the
deck.
proposed material that they're?
The proposed material is stucco. That's what they're proposing.
A stucco on what? Do we?
Oh, that would be
I mean.
wood.
Okay, we're gonna open it up. Please come up.
Okay, hi again.
What is the construction of the deck?
Basically, the deck will be wood. A wood deck, wood frame.
Right.
We're going to have like the pilaster, we're going to have the caisson, the caisson, the grade beam, and then build the wall, and then have the the deck floor joist sitting on top of it. That's what they asked us to. They came. We had it open, like to match the neighbors, but on pilaster posts, bracing under it, leave it natural, leave planting, add more planting. But the decision was they wanted enclosed, so that's what we proposed to enclose it.
Okay, so it would just be a stud wall with stucco on the
Stud
exterior.
wall with the stucco, yes. or they're recommending, I mean, split face, if that's, if that's what you want. I mean, the owner wants the deck. He's spending a lot of money on it. If you're going to spend a little more, to satisfy everybody, he's open-minded on that.
Okay. Do we have any other questions while he's up?
No, sir.
No? Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Close the session. I'm concerned if we use things like stucco on wood, just because it is going to deteriorate so rapidly and it's going to look really bad very soon. And so I think if you're going to do it, you should use a material that is in keeping with maybe the quality of the house and in the neighborhood too. My other concern is sort of as the way it's depicted now, as the face of it comes down, it's sitting so close to the lowest retaining wall that there's no room in there to plant anything, to be able to, give it a chance at least to grow in front of that. Because the only area where you'll plant is possibly below the lowest retaining wall, which is probably going to be about 5-6 feet from even the face of where this thing is going to go. So I don't think there's going to be any chance of anything growing there. And so, in keeping, I think the suggestion of we need some sections through this thing to give us a good handle on it. Material-wise, I think because the wall that's there now, it's a pretty nice wall. I mean, it's it's got some character to it. So if we're going to do something, maybe something similar to that. Let's see, I think that's it. In keeping with the colors, the existing color is fine. I'm a little confused as well on the windows. So I think maybe the next time you come, if we can give us a better handle on the rear windows, what's going on with those.
Like a window schedule?
A window schedule would be good.
Schedule.
And maybe pick out a window that you plan on using and bring a cut sheet and color and all that stuff with it. So that would help. Besides that, I think we know what recommendation we want to make. So do we have any motion on this project?
You have a staff as a...
Yeah, we would need to read back the
Steph.
conditions, actually.
Yeah, before we do that, there were some recommended conditions.
Right.
And I wonder if, because since the current code would allow the applicant to come back one more time, we'd like for the board, since you have studied the plans to date, if we could provide as much information to the applicant as possible. We struggled with this with the applicant, as reflected in the report. Staff believed that the massing of the deck was an issue and did request that to be broken up. And so if the board would also think that's a good idea, I think that should be clearly stated, because this was the result of those conversations. We also wanted to make sure that because the current house is so handsome, that all the materials that are used, very similar to the conversation you're having, are quality materials and do complement the house. So what we've heard from the board in the past is using two-piece barrel tile instead of S-top tile, which I believe is proposed, and a stucco that's very smooth, steel troweled stucco we were recommending. On the material for the deck wall, we would like the board to opine a little bit on that, because since the stucco is really not allowed per our code, the easiest thing for our applicants to do for a deck wall like that is split-face block. We think that in this case, something even better than the split-face block, because the existing rubble wall is really quite a beautiful wall. However, a rubble wall for this deck is difficult, if not impossible, to accomplish. So that was something we also struggled with providing guidance to the applicant on. And then for the the detail of the rail, as we did look at what was existing quite closely, there is a gate on the property that is simple but also has some decorative design that we thought if there was something that's not quite as simple, I'm not sure if it may show up in the photographs, something not quite as simple as the vertical 4-inch bars on center, and something not a wedding cake type of decoration, but something somewhere in between. Those were the kinds of guidance that, specific guidance that we were trying to provide the applicant, and because we believed that the volume, the actual physical mass of the deck would be very present. That was the reason, other than the lack of information and the material details, that was really the reason for the return for redesign recommendation.
Thank you.
Well,
You know, the old saying is location, 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 because we approved a deck right around the corner on Rima Vista a while back, but it wasn't right on top of the road and, 50 feet from a neighbor.
is that the one that had the stucco wood combination on it?
I was
Where the
thinking
applicant's
it was
wife was the
poured-
one that-
Yeah, but I was thinking, wasn't it? It was block with stucco on it or something. It wasn't a wood. You know which house I'm talking about? It's in the pictures here. It's one of the houses that's pictured. It's the
Is
large
that-
gray
is that-
house.
Yeah, is that the one where the board?
coyotes were coming into the
Yeah,
Yeah.
the board asked for that house. That was a particularly handsome Tudor-style
Yes,
house,
that's the
and
house.
and the board asked, because that house is so particularly handsome, that was, we thought, an unusual ruling for the board, because typically the board has asked the decks to fit in with the hillside rather than the house. So typically, we will recommend to our applicants that the deck fit into the hillside, because if it matches the house, it tends to make the house look much bigger than it is and be more prominent on the hillside.
And
and
what
so
I was saying,
on.
though, but that particular house has 10 acres below it that nobody lives in.
That's
You
right.
don't see that angle of the house. This
That's
one
right.
is pretty prominent, even though it's not a real heavily traveled street, though there's a traffic that comes around that corner. I could support staff, their recommendations. I mean, I think it really does matter to come back with some more information, though, but
No, but I think,
it seems like a pretty large deck to start with.
yeah, I think that's the way I see it, is that if it were to step down somehow or break it up, I think that would be a much easier project to approve, in the sense that we can all agree with and take it. If they want to proceed with something like this, it's going to take some doing and making it right, and they're going to have to make it right. And doing so, and a lot of it has to do with how you site it, what is in front of it, what materials are going to use. So it has to be convincing for us to be able to approve that. But if we were to go stepping down, that would be the ideal way, and I think we would all probably back that up. So,
Yeah, my thoughts on the matter are similar. There's two approaches you could take: breaking up the massing, stepping down the deck. In which case, the material of that wall is only going to be 5 feet tall, 6 feet tall, and it's going to be hidden more easily camouflaged, let's say, with landscaping, as opposed to a large wall. But I think a large wall could work. I'm not, and as staff has recommended, it said and/or. And so I do think a large deck could work. However, you're going to have to use stone material like is presented on the existing wall, to maybe establish two different types of stones to break up the
yeah, with
rhythm.
a similar look, yeah.
Yeah, and then you're going to have pockets built into the wall where you could put landscaping that's going to come up. And so then you have to really start thinking about the landscaping and the materials and the look, and really integrating those railings into that design. So it's going to be more of a design process. It's not a simple, clear-cut, quick way. And that's something I hope the owners listening, because if they do choose to go down the route of a larger yard and a larger deck, it almost becomes this design effort of designing something similar to a small home addition in the back, because that you are dealing with all the different aspects of it. And so I really think it is important to keep that and/or. And if you do decide to go with a larger deck, or if the ownership does, then I think you have to work really hard and have the sections and materials and the landscaping and the railings and the finishes massaged out and worked out. And so it'll be very easy for us to understand it. Because when I'm looking at this picture, this wall that consists of natural stones almost is not obtrusive. It works.
No.
And it's a tall wall. It's probably a 12-foot wall. And when we look at this, with time it's aged, with time its landscaping has grown around it, and so that is not obtrusive, massive, or bulky because of the material and the way it's done. It's not a straight line. It's got natural curves on it. It's got different, shapes and form to it. You could see it's organic. And so that's the kind of exercise that you need to really look into to try to make it work.
Just as a question, would a cultured stone or a stone veneer be acceptable in such a condition if it was designed appropriately?
I think so. All the above. I mean, I think so. They just need to find the right
Is
combination.
the design properly, that would, is the button on that?
And I would make
Right,
a suggestion that
Underlying.
they stay away from sort of the man-made shapes and try to stick to more
Organic.
natural lines.
Okay, that is actually very,
Because if you
very
make it a
important, very good
formalized,
feedback.
thing,
Yeah.
then
Like it is right now.
it stands out more like a house than it does part of the hillside.
Follow the contour line.
Follow the contours.
Or yeah, break it up so it's more natural. Yeah.
And it could start to work.
We also heard one more specific condition, adding windows to that would be south.
The north elevation. Or yeah, you're right, the southeast
Southeast corner of the house where to
Right, to break up that blank.
break up the wall, exactly, where it's a blank wall currently. So that would be an added condition, I assume.
I think so, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I can support that.
So, other than that, we heard from the board that the addition overall seems to match with the house, and board didn't have concerns regarding the addition,
Ask one question.
but it's
I
the
noticed.
deck.
What does that become? Right now, there's a window, it appears. And I just... That one makes sense. I don't know.
What is that room?
I don't
It's
know.
a bedroom, I'm assuming, right?
I think it's a CAD layering issue. It's just a typo of some sort.
You think? That'll... I was looking at the picture as we were talking. And it just dawned on me, like, what? Squaring off the corner.
Well, what's interesting is the roof plan actually is broken up underneath it.
Oh.
Part of it.
The applicant is able to answer that question for you if you like.
Is that something you want
up
to
to
hear
you.
answered? Doesn't...
I mean, it's up to you. I mean,
No, I
It's
noticed
not
that.
part of the addition,
Yeah, it is. The black
it?
lines are.
but it's not indicated on the bigger site plan
Yeah, it is.
or in the staff report. Okay, well, let's
Yeah.
have them come up.
I mean, it is. So now you noticed that. I guess I apologize for if it's noticed here.
yeah. Because at first I thought maybe this would be better going that way.
Yeah.
That's
You wanna-
here or there. Okay.
Shall we ask him? We have so few
bring it
people to
back
talk
up.
to tonight.
Please come up, sir. Name and address again, please.
Thank you.
Petros Darkchan, 527 Tank Canyon Road, Duarte, California, 91010.
See what happens when you're the only one?
Yeah, we like to hear
I
from
still
you.
have a couple of hours, so
So what's going on over there?
I can't see.
Okay, he doesn't know either.
Could be what Mr. Simon said, that computer thing,
Right here.
Now, what's happening in that
What
corner?
room is that?
Oh, actually, yes, sorry. Yeah, this is a new wall with enclosed, this is included in the square footage.
Well, what is it?
This is going to be closet.
So it's a bedroom right now?
It's an office type.
But if it has a closet, then it's a bedroom.
I mean, he really doesn't want to call it a bedroom. He's like, he has a home office, So you just want to, put papers.
And so it's 2 closets is what you're saying? Because there's no end, then what's that one become?
I have another,
You have to meet
I don't know why
Because
this.
that one doesn't have any room, and doors or anything into it
Okay, I'll
either.
clarify.
So
this.
if you're
Okay.
doing that, you're going to have to adjust your roof plan, because see, that changes.
No, the roof, sorry, the roof is existing, it's going to be under the roof. I mean,
But
I
it
have a
can't be,
picture.
because your roof has an elbow in it.
Yeah, where is that on there?
Oh, about this
There you
one.
go.
So it's all overhanging?
And so it's going to
The
change.
south elevation, it's the,
Right there, yeah.
where's the window?
Well, the window would be right where he's adding on to, or was.
Yeah.
The window is right here, and so when you add to it, it's either going to go away or it's going to stay.
Okay.
Wait, but where do you think the window is?
I think it's this.
Yeah, that's it.
Oh, right, I got you, I got you.
But we
I
don't
see.
have an elevation of this.
Yeah, we do, isn't it right below you there? Isn't that the,
Is this it?
yeah.
And so, if that's the case,
Oh, so he did do that.
so
He
you did do
extended
that.
it.
So then this doesn't.
Match with this, yeah.
Right.
Yeah, this doesn't match
So
with
then
that.
this is
Right.
gonna come all the way down to here. This thing is-
Yeah, you see, none of them match.
See, and then if you're doing that, you gotta have similar type of finish.
No, actually, see, the
Oh, you're not
edges is
showing the edges.
Yeah, no, the edges, they're not like, only the eave where it comes, it turns. The rest, they're just regular, like, rafter.
Bird
you know,
stocks.
They're just exposed.
It's a lot of work to get that little square footage there.
Well, we just need more clarity. I mean, if it's an addition, you gotta hatch it on your site plan. And that was a good catch by Mr. Ellis. You just have to hatch it so we understand exactly what's being added. It's just very vague right now as to what your intent is.
And make sure that your floor plan, that they're corresponding, because there's a lot of little things. Just makes it, it's a distraction to us, so.
Thank you.
No, okay. That's it.
Thank you.
Thank you. That's fine. Yeah, right. We'll get out of here.
Close the public session. So do we have a motion to make on this?
You wanna?
Well, we've already read over the conditions, right?
Yes.
We understand it. And the first condition was the only one I had a little bit questions on, and it does say and/or, so we did discuss that. And just,
Regarding the
moving
deck?
down, I believe we could return for redesign with staff's conditions as read.
Well, and I think you want to add a couple
What,
here.
what we'll probably do is include, let's just, sorry, I put it aside for a second. Include the conditions that we're sure about regarding the house, the finishes, materials, windows, clarity regarding the other pieces of the addition, in addition to the southeast corner that we're clear on. By the way, not to reopen the conversation, but there was no discussion about the entry rotunda, so we're assuming that that's fine. And then we will put together sort of laundry list reflecting your concerns and comments about the deck. There's not a condition that the massing change because it's an and/or. There is we'll write them more as comments and considerations rather than conditions because you provided lots of suggestions and choices to the applicant.
Okay.
So does that sound like that will work? And we can go ahead and read it back to you if you'd like, or we could just say these are the conditions and we'll have the comments reflect what we heard tonight.
That's fine with me because we'll have a chance to approve it on the minute review anyways.
Okay.
And so you could email it to us and then we'll just review it and, because there's so much of it, like you said, you really have to go back and.
Yeah,
Make sure we
I've
get it all.
taken copious notes. Mr. Nazarian has taken notes as well, so we'll be putting that together, watching the tape to make sure that we have an all-inclusive list for the comments. But I think that we're clear on the conditions, primarily more information, we need more clarity what is being added, and that the southeast corner windows needed to be added to break up that new piece.
One more request. If we could ask them to photograph the existing retaining wall that's there now and bring a nice size one so we can, whatever the material that he brings in, we can compare it to and kind of look at together.
Okay, so as a condition, a nice size 5x7 photograph
Just something
of the existing wall. We also heard a request for a section, at least one section through that deck. And were there other very specific drawings?
Survey and contour.
Yes,
map.
survey and contour, including accurate contour lines. And a cut sheet of the windows was requested, a cut sheet of the railing as well. So we'll include those as conditions.
Sounds good.
And you, I guess, my last comment, I think you maybe have covered it, that the plans are match, that there's like, is that the clarity?
And just to be clear, we as staff do the best we can with the information that's given to us. Very often, the board, we're grateful that we've got, in this case, 3 sets of eyes, in most cases 5 sets of eyes, to find other inconsistencies. Just to be clear, we don't scrutinize these drawings because there are always inconsistencies in this kind of conceptual and schematic design stage. We look for the significant ones, and we're glad that you found more that we didn't find. So thanks for that.
No problem.
Are you really?
You're going to move, Mr. Simonian?
Yeah, I'll move to...
I'll second.
Yep, very good.
All right, we have a motion to return for redesign with comments and conditions, second by Mr. Ellis. Roll call. Mr. Ellis?
Yes.
Mr. Simonian?
Yes.
And Chairman Yu?
Yes.
Motion passes 3-0. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank
See
you.
you next time.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Hopefully you're not the only one
If you're
presenting
lucky,
next
you're
time
lucky
you come
you're
back.
the only one.
Thank you.
Have a good one.
I think that's it, huh? Oh, we got the minutes.
Actually, the minutes were
We didn't
not
get those, right?
No,
not
we didn't
prepared.
get
No,
those.
they were not sent out. So
remember
you are
getting
not
that.
approving the minutes of June the 11th this evening.
And that's primarily because we've been really scrutinizing the way that we're writing your records of decision. I believe that you had a fairly full agenda last time, so we want to make sure that we get it right the first time.
Okay. Sounds good.
And under staff announcements, we'd like to remind members that Design Review Board number 1 will be having a study session at your next meeting, which would be on July the 9th. The public is invited to attend the study session as well. And we would like Mr. Brian Ellis to return. So, and board member...
I'll move we adjourn.
to adjourn at 6:10. Thank you.
And those guys better remember they weren't here tonight.